Past players, past legends, past legends.
Tonight, we're privileged to have on the line Matty Krieg, Central Districts, 37 games, 73 games for North Adelaide. Been around the coaching traps, but also really looking forward to talking to him about his business driven from within and how that all originated, and it's going gangbusters in general. Welcome aboard, Craigie.
Thanks very much for having me, mate. Love to be on.
Mate, we'd like to get a bit of an overall sense of where it all started for you, where you grew up, and sort of where you started your junior football, and we'll sort of go from there.
Yeah, no problems, mate. So Broadview Footy Club was my local club, so I sort of started out there in the under-9s or under-10s and progressed through the junior ranks there, mate, until about the age of 14 or 15. And I reckon from about the age of actually probably 14, I was out in the junior squads at Centrals and spent all of my sort of junior days from 14 onwards out playing in the 17s and 19s out at Centrals.
Of course, your dad played for your dad Graham played for Centrals, so
yeah, that's how I ended up out there. To be honest, mate, I did a few of those sort of the junior development sort of squads at North Adelaide. Then I think we got to about under 15 age group, and a few of my mates got invited out for a pre-season with the bigger boys, and I missed out. And we sort of did a bit of research, and North had told us that we're actually out of zone. I think we were zoned by about 300 metres. Yep. So I was actually zoned to Woodville West Torrens, but made the decision to go to Centrals under the father-son rule at about the age of 14.
That was what I was going to ask, whether Broadview was actually in the Central Zone or whether it was North Adelaide.
It's your home address it goes from.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So I reckon I missed it by I was just on the wrong side of Regency Road. So I reckon I missed it by about 300 metres.
It's funny how that sort of happens. Bruce Winter was the other side of the road originally, where if he'd been one side of the road, he would have been Sturt, which he was, and it would have been Nord, the other side of the road, and then he ended up at Nord. So it's quite incredible with things like that.
Yeah. I think they've done some, I think when was the last rezone? Was maybe when the Port Maggie's juniors
I think
ceased to exist.
One since then,
Yeah.
And success out at Broadview there?
Oh, look, we're going back a long time ago now, mate, but I do remember playing in, I reckon, an under-11 premiership.
Yep.
But yeah, look, I was only probably there for 4 years, I reckon, because I reckon I was out at the 17s with Centrals, playing in the 17s from about the age of 14 onwards.
And going through, who was your first league coach then with Centrals?
Yeah, so I had Peter Jonas as my first league coach. So I reckon Jonah must have come on board. He might have been after Stevie Wright. Not Stevie Wright.
Triggy? No, not Triggy.
Alan, was it Alan Stewart?
Alan Stewart, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So I reckon Jonah might have, there might have been between him. Maybe it was Stevie Wright the guy from Sydney Swans?
Yeah. So he was around as well. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. And then Jonah came in, and I played my first league footy under Jonah.
How'd you regard Jonah?
Yeah, look, it was an interesting time. I skipped, like I'd played as a bottom major in the under 19s and was fortunate enough to win. I don't know if they still call it the Tompkins medal, but the Tompkins medal at the time. As an sort of a bottom major in the under 19s, and I sort of skipped then the second year of under 19s and reserves, and I went straight into the league side as an 18-year-old the next year. Played 3 games that year, and then didn't play another league game for the best part of 2 to 3 seasons. So that was a period where 99 I played my first couple of league games, then started the 2000 season. Central's brought in some terrific players and some terrific people, and that was the start of a dynasty. And then I was probably just on the edge of all of that, to be honest, in the fringes as a sort of a young fella trying to find my way through. So I only played 3 or 4 games, maybe 3 games as Jonah was the coach. Then I played, I reckon, 1 game with Clarko as the coach. And then when I came back from the VFL, I played under Lairdy.
Right. Yeah.
And what was the overall sense down at Centrals at that stage, considering you did bring in some pretty handy players? Was it?
Well, arguably the two most. You can argue they've been the 2 most influential players in SA. Well, certainly since the Crows, but you can argue they're the 2 most successful interstate recruits ever.
Yeah, Chris and James, you're obviously
Yes,
referring to there.
yeah.
Yeah, so Chris and James came, I reckon, in that same year. Marco Bello.
Yeah, from
Then
Hawthorn.
you had guys like Danny Stevens came over, Conan Ford, and then in a couple of years, all in the same few years, you had then Simon Arnott come in.
Yep.
Tyson Hay came in. Like there was, and these were obviously exceptional footballers, but they were guys that they came to the footy club and stayed, which
Yeah.
is which is a bit unique, when you bring in guys in from interstate, but they stayed and they were obviously part of that really successful period.
Who was the head of recruiting down there at that time?
Oh, gee whiz. Probably Chris Grant had a fair bit to say
Yeah.
with all of that sort of stuff, I reckon.
Yeah.
Almost the Wally Miller of Central Districts.
Oh, yeah, he certainly
Yeah.
was. Yeah, he certainly was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a wonderful period for the footy club, no doubt.
So you played in a reserves premiership side
Yep.
at Centrals, and at least the league side won as well that day, because there's nothing worse for the reserves guys if the reserve side wins and the league side loses. It is.
Yeah. Was that 2001 or 2003?
I reckon that's 03, I think.
Yeah, I reckon you might be right. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I remember playing in a reserves flag. I just couldn't quite remember the year it was.
And then so you ended up going out to North Adelaide from there, and obviously playing under Jars, which interesting experience there. Go through your time then at North, mate.
Yeah. Who was your league debut against?
My league debut was against South Adelaide at Elizabeth Oval. Funny enough, I played my first ever game of under 15s footy against South. My first 17s, 19s, reserves, and league game were all against South Adelaide.
That's ridiculous.
And my last game in the competition was against South Adelaide as well.
Did you suspect that at the time?
Well, no, I didn't go in. No, it was interesting. We were playing down at Noarlunga. We were coming off a year where we'd finished runners-up in 2007 to Centrals, and I didn't suspect I was playing my last year of footy, to be honest.
Yep.
But we got to about halfway through the season, and footy started to become a real chore for me. I actually started to really despise going to training. I wasn't enjoying it, and I sort of said to myself, if ever that becomes the way I feel, I'm not going to push on just for the sake of accumulating games. I'm going to say no. It's now no longer working for me. And we played a game against South Adelaide at Noarlunga. We were terrible. I was terrible. And I went into Jars on the Monday night and said, mate, I reckon I'm done. I don't think I've got another training session in me. And I reckon he offered me one more game, because I think we played Centrals at Prospect the next week. And he offered me, do you want to have a sort of one more game against the old club? And I said, I actually don't, mate. I'm done.
Okay, at least
so
you're
I finished
honest,
up about
Krieg.
halfway through 2008. Yeah.
And in terms of your league career, what do you think back now, highlights and lowlights overall afterwards?
A highlight and a lowlight all on the same day, 07, obviously. After I had 2 seasons at Centrals, 2003, 2004. I'd just come back. I had a season over in the VFL, 2002.
That was Frankston?
Yeah, with the Frankston Dolphins over there. So I played one league game in 2001, round 22. It was the last game of the season under Clarko. And then I decided to head over to Melbourne just for a bit of a different look for a season. And Clarko was good enough actually to meet me over there. And we went to at least one club together to have a look around. I think it was Sandringham. I didn't want to be part of a club that had listed players attached. I didn't want to be at the mercy of AFL selection.
Yep, that's fair enough.
And I reckon Sandringham at that stage were aligned to Melbourne. So I decided to go to Frankston because they weren't aligned. They were one of 4 clubs in the league that year, I think, that weren't aligned to anyone. And we didn't have great success on field, but it was a wonderful club and we had a wonderful time. But so I did the 1 year there just so I could have a bit of a different look, and I wasn't that interested really in playing another season of reserves footy, to be honest. I reckon I probably played my 40 or 52s games at that stage.
Yeah.
So I came back for the 03-04 season and played almost every game of league footy. 03 I played 14 or 15 games, I reckon, and missed and played in one of the finals, but missed out on the grand final. 04 I played 19 of the 20 minor round games and missed out on the finals again. And then in 2005, headed over to North, and To be honest, I thought the 2007 grand final, I thought the fairy tale's been written here. Like it's my 100th game grand final day.
All right.
It's against the old team. This has all been set up for a wonderful story, and it couldn't have been anything further from the truth. I reckon we lost by 11 goals.
Yeah.
And I had a terrible game personally. I reckon I had a big hand in getting Ian Callanan drafted as a mature age recruit to the Crows. He was a wonderful player, way too good for me. You just couldn't lay a hand on him. His agility was just superb, and his skills on both sides of his body were just first class. So, what I thought was going to be a great day ended up being a bit of a bloody nightmare, and I've never actually watched the game.
Yeah,
well, a lot of players don't do that, do they?
No, I admit I'm not a great watcher of losing games.
Yep.
I don't think
No.
there's a couple of things I've never. I admit I actually forced myself to watch. Not that I was a fanatical Crows, but watch the 93 prelim. I actually I watched it with Rodney Maynard. We both said, right, I've never watched that game again since. And I said to Rocket, I want to see if the umpiring's as bad as what I thought it was at the game. And we watched it. Rocket's reply was, shit, it was even worse than I thought it was at the game.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be in those moments, though, don't you? Like, that's the thing. The opposition side are always going to get a vote in what the outcome is, and obviously you always hope it's going to go your way. But, yeah, you're still, like, a wonderful experience to run out in Footy Park on grand final day. It wasn't to be, but that was definitely a highlight to be a part of. Just the lead up to a grand final, and then to be honest, we lost the grand final, but it stings for a while. But on the Sunday after the game, we were out with the Centrals boys in the same pub celebrating.
Yeah.
So, and I think footy's got particularly South Australian footy, I think it's really good like that. I do remember Saturday nights where you'd often end up in the same pub or the same bar as the league players from the other sides. It was just, it was fantastic camaraderie.
And it was probably even more than before your era, Craigie, because it used to be at Sam's, and if you didn't actually catch up with someone from every team at Sam's, well, you certainly did at the Bay Disco on the Sunday night. So any crap which had happened on ground got sorted out amongst everyone on the Saturday or Sunday night, basically.
Yeah, I remember thinking, gee, this is quite unique. Like we're into our sort of Sunday. They're celebrating. We're obviously drowning our sorrows, but there we were together. And that went into the Monday. There was large chunks of us still together on the Monday.
Yeah.
And I remember sort of catching myself in the moment, thinking, this is quite unique. This is wonderful, and this is unique. I know I've got a really good friendship with Daniel Shell. He was one of my closer mates at Central, and I remember us actually being together on the Sunday night, Monday morning. The only difference was he had a medal around his neck.
Yeah, and that's what it should be, really. Once the siren goes, we can't change it. Yep. Obviously, I'd love to Tristan Binder's kick to change from Sunday, but it's life. You've got to get on with it.
Yeah, I was there on Sunday. I did feel for Trino.
Yeah, I do. I feel sorry. I really do feel for Tristan. So yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I admit a big part of just getting you on, because your business is fascinating from what you've gone on, and there's a few aspects there and a few directions I do want to go with you. But just explain Driven from Within, how it originated, and just going over all things. And there is a couple of things, I admit I have watched the Legends with Bevo bit, so I've got a couple of questions from there. So go from there, Craigie.
Yeah, okay. So my background's in education. So I was probably best part of 18 years in schools, variety of different roles, PE teacher, student counsellor, curriculum coordinator, year level manager. And I sort of, at the back end of my time in schools, I was what they call the director of curriculum teaching and learning.
Yep.
And within that time, I was supported to do some additional study, and I went on and did a master's degree in organisational leadership and culture. And I would say I sort of, as corny as it perhaps sounds, I think I reconnected with what has always been my number one passion, which is exceptional performance, high performance. Like, what is it? Why can some guys do it? It's like some guys and girls do it and others can't. And why can some organisations just on repeat be high performing and others can't? And what's the difference? And is it teachable and is it coachable? So I really went down a big deep dive into that space, and then I suppose I sought permission from my wife as to whether or not I might be able to have a crack at doing something different. Because I really had lost a bit of enthusiasm, a bit of passion for being in the school. I probably had a bit of a values misalignment, I reckon, to be fair. Not that I had the language for it at the time, but I think that's what was happening. I started to become someone I quite didn't really like, to be honest, complaining all the time, quite toxic, quite bitter. You know, the problems out there, if only they do this, all that sort of language.
I get that, though, the school environment. I do understand that after a bloody long time in it, Krieg.
Yeah. But I sort of thought, well, I can stay and be that person if I want to, or I'll have it, or I can opt out and have a crack at something else. So fortunately, my wife was supportive. So I relinquished the leadership role I had, and I went part-time at the school. So I did 3 days for 3 years. I did 3 days a week at the school and 2 days a week trying to figure out what I was doing.
Yep.
And then after that 3 years, I had to make the decision to, is this going to work? Is this going to be sustainable, or do I have to go back? So I made this. It was in a position where I thought it was going to work, and so fast forward, I suppose 4 years now. I'm in my 4th year full time now. This year, I've got someone working with me full time, and we are in a really sort of fortunate position. I would say we get to work, across multiple different industries: corporate, semi-professional, sport, education. We get to visit some of the most remote parts of Australia. Anything to do with leadership, anything to do with teams, anything to do with organisational culture is the space that we play in. Yeah.
Liking this podcast? Please like, rate, and subscribe.